Connect the dots.
One of the main reasons I started this channel was to address some of the Star Wars theories I'd seen bandied about the interwebs, and weigh in with my opinion. Here's the biggest, in terms of people talking about it. Is Snoke actually Darth Plagueis the Wise? The answer is unknowable until the movies tell us so. That being said, my educated guess is that Snoke is not Darth Plagueis. I'll go over the arguments for, giving rebuttals along the way, and then close with what, in my opinion of course, is the conclusive evidence that debunks this theory. Before we get into that though, some of the less obsessive among you may be wondering, who is this Darth Plagueis I've been hearing so much about? Well, why don't we ask his apprentice? Palpatine? Who was Darth Plagueis?
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
I see. Can you tell us what happened to him?
He became so powerful. The only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which eventually, of course, he did. Unfortunately, he taught his apprentice everything he knew. Then his apprentice killed him in his sleep. It's ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself.
Have anything else on the matter to say, do you?
Yow! Yow!
All right. Just asking. So, as far as the current canon shows, that's all we know about Plagueis. From these few lines, we can infer a few things. 1. Plagueis is likely Anakin's father, or at least his creator. 2. Palpatine was Plagueis' apprentice. Notice the Sith are too cool to use the silly word Padawan. That point goes to the dark side. And 3. Plagueis was killed by his apprentice. If you step outside of canon, you get a few more details, including Darth Plagueis was still alive during Episode 1, though dies off-screen at some point before the end of the film. He was a Mun, which canonically look like this. We also know that his real name was Master Higo Damask II of the Intergalactic Banking Clan, and that he murdered his master, Darth Tenebrous. So, now that we know who he is, why can't he be Snoke? Well, the first and most obvious answer is that he's dead, killed by the Emperor. That seems clear enough, right? Well, you would think so. But many people feel that Plagueis somehow survived assassination and has been in hiding, regaining his power as he watched the rise and fall of the Empire, and has now taken control of the First Order in the chaos following the Emperor's death. Alternatively, he could be a Force ghost, like Obi-Wan, Yoda, Anakin, and, to a lesser extent, Qui-Gon were. I don't think either of these ideas are correct. The whole point of the only canonical mentions of Plagueis was that he could save people from dying, but not himself. Isn't that ironic? Proponents of this theory would say that he figured it out, but there's nothing to indicate that. It's also been said that the scar across his face looks like it could have come from a lightsaber wound. While that may be true, the one thing his injuries would not have caused is the growth of a nose. He is a Moon, after all, and we know what they look like, and Snoke clearly has a nose. While his being a Moon isn't technically canon anymore, if they were trying to use Plagueis as head of the First Order, why change his race? He's in CGI anyway. The other major piece of evidence trotted out is that the music played during Palpatine's Sith fairy tale sounds similar to the music that plays behind Snoke. Low strings, contrabass singers with a Latin-sounding libretto. Is this like the Darth Vader theme we all know and love that plays every time for that character? Is that the only piece of evidence we even need? Well, no, not really. The difference between the scores used to indicate certain characters and the score used in these two scenes is night and day. Listen to Yoda's theme. Luke's theme. Leia's theme. And Vader's theme. Notice any similarities? I did. They all have a discernible melody. But there's something else to think about too. Luke's theme and Vader's theme are not just used when Luke and Vader are on screen, respectively. Vader's theme is really called the Imperial March and is used for the Empire as a whole, not just Robo Annie. Luke's theme is used not just for him, but for the light side of the Force. These themes are used in the TV show Star Wars Rebels during important Force moments between Ezra and Kanan, and the Imperial March even shows up not as soundtrack, but as almost a galactic anthem during Empire Day on Lothal. The music in Star Wars isn't just related to specific characters, but to emotional states. Leia's theme is used for love moments between her and Han Solo. Now, the music from the Plagueis the Wise story is coming from the opera playing in the background, which, canonically, and I am not making this up, is called Squid Lake and is being performed by a troupe of Mon Calamari. It's not a soundtrack that only the movie audience can hear, it's what the characters in the movie are listening to as well. It could be that Fishhead classical music is Snoke's jam, and he just has it playing like elevator music in his very practical hologram cavern. But even more likely is that it's a similar theme to convey an emotion of dread, foreboding, and the dark side in general, rather than just one character. The final thing I'd like to say, and the most compelling argument as to why Supreme Leader Snoke is not secretly Darth Plagueis is, that would give the new movies a direct link to the prequels, something they are trying desperately to avoid. There's already a great many terrible things in the prequels that are and always will be canonical, but that doesn't mean the new movies will keep bringing them up. Anybody think Jar Jar or midichlorians have any place in episodes 8 and 9? I doubt it. So that's who Snoke isn't. But who is he then? My guess? He's no one. At least, no one we've met so far. J.J. Abrams and Andy Serkis, the actor portraying Snoke, both say that the Supreme Leader is an entirely new character. I'll talk about it more when I get around to discussing the new movie, but I like all the new stuff they added in The Force Awakens. I like Kylo Ren, I like BB-8, and I like Finn, Poe, and Rey. It was all great. Snoke doesn't need to be tied to obscure references in the previous movies to be interesting. In fact, the less we know about his backstory, the more mysterious and frightening he might be. I'm hoping that he turns out to be the dark side equivalent of Yoda, extremely old, wise in the ways of the Force, and a little guy. Size matters not, though Snoke's hologram suggests he might be compensating for something. Those are my thoughts on the Snoke Plagueis theories. My next video will address a thought I had while making this one, and which character I think should be brought back from the prequels into the new films. I'll give you a hint. Diesen might be making use of Nutzen. Until then, you know what to do.